everyone. Welcome to episode 12 of Author Talk. Today I'm interviewing poet, author, and mental health advocate Stephen Pryce. Stephen's path to becoming an author and mental health advocate was born from personal life experience. The compelling story of his schizophrenia diagnosis in his 20s and his subsequent years of recovery is told in his book, 1%. Additionally, the Akron Beacon Journal featured an opinion piece by Stephen, and he has written about mental health issues for both the National Alliance on Mental Illness and Catalyst newsletters, as well as writing multiple reviews for books focusing on mental health. I'm honored to have the opportunity to interview Stephen and thankful for the vulnerability and honesty he displays when telling others about his journey. I'm excited for you to get to know him, so let's welcome Stephen. So welcome, Stephen.
Hi, Debbie. How you doing?
Good, really good. How are you tonight?
I'm good, thanks.
Good, I'm glad. So thank you so much for doing the interview. And to begin, I want you to tell our viewers a little bit about your life. And a lot of this interview is going to be about your life after college, but can you tell me some about your younger life, your family, your siblings, where you went to school and college, that kind of thing?
Yes, no problem. I was born in the suburbs of Detroit in Michigan. We moved here when I was 9. My dad accepted an administrative position at Allman Hospital, and he and my mom both went to University of Michigan, but we've still managed to be very happy here. I have an older brother, Andy, and a twin sister, Julie. I went to plain local schools, Glen Oak, and in college I went to Bowling Green and graduated from Hillsdale, and I was also a non-traditional student at Kent State, where I got to pursue journalism, something I'd wanted to do for a while. And for fun, I like sports. I like reading and writing, of course, and those are my hobbies.
Yeah, and you played rugby.
I played rugby. That was my coming of age sport, one I enjoyed a great deal.
So can you explain rugby to our viewers?
Yes, I played what's called 15s rugby. It's 2 40-minute halves where you can pass backwards, kick forwards. There's the scrum where people huddle together and push each other. It's a lot of fun. It's a physical sport, a lot of camaraderie though, and a lot of you throw a party for the other team after the game. So there's a lot of sociability, but it was a lot of lessons learned there.
I bet. Teamwork and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So is it true when you play rugby you don't wear a helmet or anything like that?
You can wear a scrum hat, but most people, which is a padded hat, most people don't wear one though. But it's optional. It's something you can do. Yes.
Do you wear like knee pads or anything like that?
It's still kind of just a jersey and shorts sport. You can wear little things here and there, for injuries, but it's largely just the uniform. So
okay.
I had shin guards from soccer because I was a hooker.
Okay. So did you ever get seriously hurt playing rugby?
I don't know what you consider serious. I had my nose broken twice, and I was helped off the field. I had my bell rung, so to speak. I didn't have to go to the hospital, but I was walked off the field a couple times, and then I had the regular bumps and bruises. So
okay, all right. Well, I thought it was pretty rough sport from what little I know about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really follow rugby, but
you should
just
see a game.
I should. You should introduce me to that.
Okay. Weiss Park tomorrow on Saturday. There's a tournament.
Oh, really? There's teams that play there?
Yes, there's some Columbus teams. There's our team. So yeah, there's a few teams.
Okay.
But right behind the library on 25th Street.
Okay. I didn't realize there was like a public team like that.
Mm-hmm.
So getting started with the main part of our interview, after college, you began working for a top national insurance company. And during that time at that insurance company, in your book, you talk about beginning to feel things like depression and paranoia.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that time. What was going on then?
Well, it was already a stressful time in my life. Like I say, my parents, my dad was in the Navy and he had his MBA, and my mom was a Phi Beta Cap at Michigan. And I was feeling a lot of pressure to do well, a lot of stress to do well. I did get my insurance license as an intern at Alt Care. And when I went to, it's the company's Prudential, but when I went up there, I also got my HMO license, which is what the managed care was or the insurance was at that time. But I don't know if it was the pressure I was putting on myself. I know there's some stress involved and there's a biochemical part to it, but I was under a lot of pressure, and the job was very important to me. I did think I found something where I fit in, where I could do for a longer period of time. And it was unfortunate because I thought things were coming together, and then, I started thinking my coworkers were conspiring against me. But I mean, those were on the negative side. On the positive side, I thought that I was gonna change the world and do all these great things. But it was very stressful, and I resigned so I could. I thought I was going to get fired, so I resigned. And I also thought that was going to hopefully give me some time to rest. But actually, the symptoms became worse. When I went home, I began to think I was under surveillance, that my food could be poisoned, that my neighbors were also conspiring against me. I thought I just needed a little downtime because I'd been working so hard. But like I say, the symptoms just became worse. So
Right.
it was a very difficult time.
It sounds extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about you would have grandiose thoughts that you were going to change the world, but then you also were paranoid that people were spying on you and
Yes.
conspiring, and it just got worse and worse after you resigned. So what happened then? What followed all that?
Well, I still had I thought I could get another job, but that was very difficult. I was sending out resumes. This was back in the 90s. But I was sending out resumes and I was trying to, get local jobs, but nothing was happening. I'd had internships and I did pretty well in college, and I think it looked suspicious. My resume, somebody, who's doing pretty well looking for jobs. It looked like I maybe should have it together a little better. So I wasn't getting jobs. I started sleeping in till 10 o'clock. A nice thing that did happen was my dad. I think he had some understanding of what was going on, but we would walk in the neighborhood and we would talk, and he kept telling me that I didn't understand this at the time, but he said that I probably did have something biochemical and that it could be corrected, but what I have is still a pretty difficult thing to overcome.
So around that time then, from reading your book, I remember there was a hospitalization. And so how did that come about?
Basically what happened was it was again a very stressful time. If you want the complete truth, I went out to a bar that night and I came back. I don't drink very much, but I came back and I did think my neighbors were conspiring against me, and I basically left a note in one of their mailboxes, just saying, hey, please leave me alone. And my neighbor worked for Diebold, which is a coincidence, I guess. But he was suspicious because he was suspicious that I was home all the time. But he had a little camera that he had on the mailbox, and he caught me. So that probably added to my paranoia. But that
I would think
that's what led to my hospitalization. I was on camera. They read the note. It was a little bit disturbing, and that's what led to my hospitalization for the first time.
Okay. And so while you were in the hospital, you were diagnosed.
Yes.
And Can you tell us about that diagnosis?
It was in the middle of the week. The psychiatrist met with me on a Wednesday. He did diagnose me with schizophrenia, but he thought that I would be able to, that it was correctable, that I might be able to do something. You would, at the time, I'll be honest, even though my symptoms went away, it's not like, it's not so much of a relief because you're not getting a clean bill of health. It was kind of disrupting to me. I thought I had a kind of a long road ahead of me, maybe a difficult one. So, I mean, it was nice, to have kind of a clear mind and to be able to think clearly, but I also knew what ahead of me was going to be very difficult.
Yeah, so it wasn't a relief to get that diagnosis, or was it kind of both? Like that you understood what was happening, but it was still hard because you had a long road ahead, or
it was
how would
a
you
relief for
describe
the
that?
symptoms. I'm sorry. It was a relief for the symptoms to go away, but I still think it's a very disturbing label, and it's still kind of misperceived. And a lot of people really don't recover from it. So it was I think that the diagnosis is as bad as the symptoms. I don't know how else to say it, but they're kind of equal.
We definitely, I think, tend to consider it a more alarming diagnosis. That's probably how you perceived it too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I had some misconceptions about a schizophrenia diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was reading your book, 1%, and I'll hold this up for our viewers to see. This
Thank
is
you.
Stephen's book, 1%. And when you wrote about it, it really helped me to understand schizophrenia better. And it kind of took away a lot of my misconceptions and I would say the stigma around it. And so I think it would help if you tell the people watching, what is a schizophrenia diagnosis? What does that actually mean? Because I think a lot of people think it means like multiple personalities, but it's not that.
Well, from my reading and the studying that I've done, is schizophrenia means a break or a split from reality. It's a biochemical imbalance, and it occurs in your late teens, early 20s, from the stress of becoming an adult. Is what I've read and what I kind of relate to. It's characterized by delusions and hallucinations. Delusions are fixed false beliefs or irrational thoughts, like thinking you're going to do something great or thinking you're somebody, a big deal. The hallucinations are kind of false sensory perceptions. The most understood or the most common one of those is the hearing voices, which would be auditory hallucinations. But from what I hear, other people see things, smell things, a lot of different things. But it's kind of false sensory perceptions.
Okay. See, I really didn't understand any of that before reading your book, so that was really helpful. So, have you seen the movie A Beautiful Mind?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And would that be similar to what you experience or very different?
I think some of the symptoms are the same. I think that I think it's a little more complex than that.
Okay.
It's very, the scenes where he's being chased and things like that. I think were very intense. I could relate in the parts of the movie where he had all the magazines kind of diagrammed, and he was trying to read into what he was looking for. They call it mixed messages or things like that into what he was reading, and
Like
I think that was
coded?
very realistic. And when he was trying to recover and some of the stigma around it, I thought that was very realistic. But yeah, I thought it was a well done movie, and I did read some of the book. He said he wishes it was more about his life than what it's like for most people, but I do think it was a well done movie.
Okay, so you were happy with the representation.
Yes, I was.
Relatively happy.
Relatively happy, yes. I thought it was
Yeah.
good. I think
I was just gonna say Hollywood always has to kind of over dramatize things, but
yes.
yeah. But overall, you thought it represented a diagnosis well, at least for one particular person.
Yes. A very successful person. Yes.
Yeah. So when you were hospitalized,
Mm-hmm.
you were put on medication during that hospital stay.
Mm-hmm.
How soon after you were put on medication did you start to feel better, like you had more clarity in your thinking?
Well, in the book you're speaking of that I wrote, at first it's a very strong medication, and it did affect me physically. I did kind of stumble and have to, I did have to
Mhm.
have another medication to kind of stabilize me. But I would say, during the midweek when I met with a psychiatrist, I was coming around already, and by the end of the week, I'd say I was about 75, 80%. I still had a ways to go. And
Okay.
even the nurses in the hospital, when we would do our blue books, our journaling, they noted that I had a little ways to go, but I had come a long way.
Okay, so that was a relatively short time, right? That you
1 week, yes.
were considerably better on the medication.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Okay.
But it's a life change. I think more is needed, if you want my honest opinion. I know hospitalizations are expensive, but I do think the diagnosis and the illness changes your life, and
Mhm.
I think more is needed, whether it be life skills or whether it be, this is what you have ahead of you, or this is how your life is going to change. I think there needs to be a little bit more than a week and stabilization on the medication. I think there has to be some personal and life skills in there as well.
That's really good. That's
Mhm.
really good. Have you in any of the programs you've worked with, have you been able to implement some of those things?
Yes, I was a NAMI volunteer, and I was in the peer to peer group as well as the Sunday group for everybody.
Okay.
I think that did a lot for me. I think I isolated a lot with the illness, and that gave me people to talk to. It brought in a lot of other people's life experiences, and I think they were more understanding than the general public.
Mhm.
Having had some of the same experiences themselves, and I think it's good to have some social support. I think work wise, from what I've read, a large majority of people with what I have don't work. So there's a lot of, misconceptions about whether people can work or they can't. I feel they can, but it gave me some support I really needed to keep going.
That's great. I'm so glad you were able to implement those ideas and hopefully
Thank you.
even more so in the future.
hmm
So, one of the excuse me, one of the reasons from what I read that a lot of people don't work is because they don't stay on their medication to manage their symptoms.
hmm
And after you were released from the hospital, you took your medication, you were doing
hmm
well, and you actually got a job as a journalist in a newsroom. So
Yes.
you were doing really well. And
hmm
then at a certain point in time, you stopped taking your medication.
hmm
And so, can you tell me at the time, what was your thought process behind stopping the medication?
Again, I was under a lot of stress. I sold, I was in retail sales for clothing and for lumber to make some money.
Okay.
After I got out of the hospital, I saved enough where I could take some classes again, some journalism classes, and I was a stringer or a cub reporter, whatever you want to say,
Okay.
which is pretty close to volunteering. It doesn't pay a lot, but
Okay.
I was under a lot of stress. I wanted to get my life back.
Mm.
When I was at the daily newspaper in Massillon, um, again, I found myself very quickly under a lot of pressure. I didn't
Mm.
understand how I'd become different from other people. I didn't understand the office politics. I thought that if you could do the writing, that was enough, but that's clearly not the case with most things. And I was also taking a night class at Kent State, so
Mm.
I was at the newspaper during the day, and then um, a few days a week I would be at the up at Kent State. I would drive up there, and the professor of the class was the former editor of the Beacon Journal, and
Oh, wow.
that put me under a lot of pressure too.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, I don't know if you could say we had a little conflict, but he kind of wanted to see what I could do. I kind of wanted to see, what was possible, and I don't know. There's a little rift there, maybe, but at the end, it was just too much stress. I think that I expected too much too soon, and I quit. I began showing up late to work. I thought the medication was slowing me down, making me
Uh,
tired. Yeah,
okay.
I got off the medication, and then again things just got worse after that, and I was fired from the newspaper and flunked the class.
Okay.
But it
So
was
you,
it
so that
was
was your
definitely.
main reason you felt it was slowing you down.
Yes. And well, and I also thought I had a hard time accepting that my life was going to be different, and
Mm,
also how I was viewed by other people now that I had a diagnosis. But yes, it's a like I say, one thing that I think is amiss in the stuff that I read about what I have in recovery is that your life does change. It's not going to be the same, and
mm.
I wish that that's what I wish would be addressed a little bit more to other people who are trying to recover. That your life is going to be different. So,
Well, I hope that people watching this, will be more educated about a diagnosis of schizophrenia and maybe share that with people in their lives that
mm,
are undergoing this. And I was saying recently to a friend who had knee surgery,
mm,
and I had knee surgery in February, that, they do a really good job of telling you what it's going to be like physically and the things you're going to undergo physically. But I was not prepared for how discouraged I was and upset, the first, especially the first 5 to 7 days after the surgery. And I was saying to my friend, like, they, the mental part of it should be part of the preparation too. And so, like what you're saying, people should be made aware when they get that diagnosis. They should be educated about how their life's going to change.
I think so too. One thing that I think success stories are very important. Don't get me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it gets very discouraging if you go to your doctor and they say, "Well, for example, Fred Fries is a psychologist. Things like that. He's probably the top one. Well, you could be a psychologist. Well, that's probably not true. He's got his PhD. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wish they would give you, uh, maybe a little more realistic course you could take. What would be successful for your
Mm-hmm.
background? I think that would help a great deal. But
Well, you and I are both writers, and it's
mhm.
like, maybe 1 in a million is going to be J.K. Rowling, right? Like
Right.
writing the Harry Potter series. So it's
It's
probably the
this.
same thing with a
Yes,
schizophrenia diagnosis. Yeah, maybe 1 in a million is going to be the top psychologist with a diagnosis of schizophrenia,
exactly.
but it's not realistic for most people.
Exactly. But I did get to speak with him on the phone. He is from Ohio. And he helped me, but he even thought that I was a little bit unrealistic about what I wanted to do, but
Hmm.
I wasn't ready to listen yet. I was a little bit gung ho and a little bit just wanting to get my life back. So,
Okay. So after you went off the medication with all that, and
mhm.
you kind of had another crash, right?
Well, that took a while. I uh, I thought I could work regular, more manual labor, factory warehouse type jobs without my
Mm-hmm.
medication. Um, and I did have some weight gain on the medication too, but after I got on off the medication, I got down to about 150 pounds, and
Wow.
I worked a lot of factory warehouse labor jobs. Um, I was doing things I wanted to do. I don't know how easy it was for the people I was doing them with, but I volunteered at the Humane Society, Habitat. I just couldn't do
Mm-hmm.
anything long term. I ran I ran a 5K, a 2 mile. I did some weight training. I got to do a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things I wanted to do. I played some indoor soccer, but it wasn't long term. I wouldn't have been able to do them without my family supporting me, but you can only do that for so long because it's not good for you and it's not good for the people around you. You kind of have to get into something that's going to last. And
So without the medication, would you say it's harder to focus because things didn't
uh,
last long term?
I would say harder to focus is a understatement. It's very
Okay.
disruptive. I was cutting my own hair. My hygiene was bad. I could work these factory jobs. If I had one thing to focus on all day, I could do it. Or if they sent me out to to the landfill or something. I mean, I could work a
Mm-hmm.
solitary job, but interacting with people was very difficult. Stability, I wasn't very stable. And, it makes it, I mean, I still have problems with my neighbors. So,
Okay.
like I said, I was bouncing around everything, and, it's not something I would suggest.
So what finally convinced you, and you've been in recovery for a long time now,
Hmm.
20 years, right?
Yes.
So what finally convinced you, hey, I have to stay on this medication. I have to do what the program is to be well. What finally convinced you to do that?
Well, I was in an altercation in my neighborhood. I had an apartment at the time, and I was in an
Okay.
altercation, and I was broken up by the police, something also very scary. But I went to the
Mm,
hospital. The people who I was in the altercation with went to jail. Very scary at the time. I went to the hospital again, and then I went to a halfway house after that. And as we talked about before, I do think it takes longer than a week for you to make that kind of adjustment. The hospitalization, they stabilized me, but I was unable to get a job after that. I went to the halfway house, and I was there about a month, which is longer than most people go. But my dad said if I wasn't committed to taking the medication, that he wasn't going to I wouldn't be discharged until I stayed on the medication. Was basically it was almost an ultimatum. But
okay.
while I was there, I got to figure out what I was doing wrong. I got to see what was working for other people.
Okay.
I think I'm kind of I don't know how you say it. I think I'm kind of a self-starter, I guess is what I said in the
Mm,
book. But I found that I needed downtime. In the common area, I started watching college and pro football with the individuals. And I got a better picture of what my life would be like rather than what it should be like. So it helped me out a great
okay.
deal.
Okay. So do you feel like the slower pace and the more extended time at the halfway house really helped with that process?
I think it did. I think I needed it. We had group therapy every day. I could listen to what was
Mm-hmm.
going on with other people. And, like I say, it wasn't exactly a rosy picture of what my life would be like, but it gave me a realistic view of what it was like for other people, and I still thought I could be a success story. I'll be honest, but it got me to reality, and it was just a very real experience that showed me what things were like for other people. So.
That's wonderful. So
Mhm.
did they have a lot of programs there as far as the things you were talking about, like education? Because you said like you're in group therapy, you're hearing other people talk, but did they
Mhm.
also have programs?
Well, we at the end of the month there, we did have a lot more programs, but the basic day was we went to the group therapy. We had a lunch that was made by the staff. Like I said, I like to always pitch in. I helped clean up afterwards voluntarily. I like to volunteer, but then we would do the group therapy. Then when we'd go back, and I got a physical. They made sure that I was physically okay
Mm-hmm.
before all this started. But that was basically your routine. And then they went over the diagnoses and some coping skills after that. And we took breaks during the group therapy. We got to talk to
Okay.
other people. They were smoke breaks. I don't smoke anymore. I was a kind of a light smoker for a little while, but it just it just helped out a lot. I'm a
Good.
walker. I did a lot of walking, and I, I don't know how to explain it, but it was a grounding experience. And
Good.
I also got a
Uh,
job out of it. I got to work at ICANN, so I made some connections.
that's awesome.
Hmm.
And I don't think people realize how important those types of places are.
Hmm.
Those kind of programs and having a place where people can go so they don't end up on the streets.
I agree. You have to have I think those skills or I think those environments are very important, but you also have to have a support. And they talked about this during the group therapy, but you have to keep your support group together once you get out too. They
Mhm.
tell you the
Mhm.
things that are important for recovery, and it's you have to keep your support group, your coping skills. If you're able to work, it's, that's important as well, your family. But it kind of puts the pieces together for you and gives you a framework to pursue. So
that's wonderful. And reading your book, I saw that so clearly, how helpful those things are. And when those things are not present, how it can mean the difference between success and not being successful in recovery.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
wonderful. So I want to shift to talking about your writing. And in school, reading in your book, you were a really good writer and debater. You were on the debate team, right?
Yes.
Or that's, I was on the debate team, but I was terrible.
Oh, I had to write my own case. That's where I think I did okay.
See, that's amazing. And so talk to our viewers about what writing came to mean to you while you were in the beginning stages of recovery.
It was very important. I think the one way that I always say it to myself is that I have to get things out of my mind and onto paper. It kind of clears my head. I think writing is great for goal setting, for problem solving, getting your ideas on paper, things you like, things you don't like. I think it helps you know yourself. And it became very important to me not only to figure things out, but it is an isolating condition. And I wasn't, I'll be honest, I didn't have the friends I had before. I didn't have as many activities, and it gave me a way to express myself, understand things. I was reading and writing a lot. So it was very important for me to get back on my feet. And once I did get involved with organizations again, by that time I could listen and hear other people's stories, and I could relate to them, and I had something to talk about outside of the bad things I was experiencing.
Right.
So I think it's very important, and it's turned out to be kind of one of my lifetime hobbies. So I think it's good.
Yeah, and I hope people will get your book, and we'll talk about later where to find it. But you're an amazing poet too.
I was very lucky. I was very lucky with that. When I was younger, by a friend of mine at Bowling Green, she said I was the poet who didn't know it, and I didn't really know what that meant. But I just wanted to write short stories and things like that. I thought that would be my niche, but I was having a hard time getting my short stories published, and a poetry journal came out by Lit Cleveland, and I wrote a poem, and I just went from there. I got very lucky. But I don't know how to describe it. I found a publication I liked, the Blue Collar Review, which I could relate to a lot, and it just kind of happened. I was very lucky.
What's your favorite subject to write about when you're writing poetry? Is it about recovery and the things you've been through, or what do you like best to write about?
I think it's those things a lot. Work and recovery. I'm trying to get more into the personal issues a little bit more. The Blue Collar Review, it has a lot to do with work, but I'm trying to get more personal issues. Family, personal relationships. I'm trying to put it all together instead of just writing about a job or maybe some struggles I've had. I'm trying to do more. I think those are very important, but I'm trying to round it out now.
I've read some of your poetry, and it has a lot of depth. It's excellent.
Thank you very much.
It's really excellent. So writing was a way for you to express yourself, to clear your head, to get your thoughts down on paper and work through things. So when did that shift to your writing becoming very important and advocating for other people with mental health issues?
I think I think that started, the illness kind of gave me a big challenge in my life. But when I was in high school, I was a part of a journalism project about underage drinking and drug use, which is a kind of a social or personal concern. When I was in college, I wrote about my brother who's had a challenge in his life. And I think I've always been kind of socially concerned or personally concerned.
Okay.
But After I started to recover, I had to put the brakes on the writing for a while because I thought it would interfere with me keeping a job. I thought I wouldn't have my priorities straight. But once I got a few years under my belt at the job, on an internet site, Schizophrenia Diaries, I got an article in on that, and they had all the articles listed. They were all, a lot of people submitted their articles, and mine was number 2, and I was very happy about that. I was kind of surprised.
Oh, that's so neat.
I was kind of surprised there too, but I got that done, and then I started writing the book reviews for the NAMI newsletter, and
tell everybody
one
what
thing that
NAMI
helped me out a
is.
lot is once I started to enjoy it again very much, and I was at Ollie's, the discount store, and I got a book about getting it published, and you wonder how people do it, but this said, just start with a newsletter and just go from there. And I thought, with NAMI, that's a newsletter. Maybe I got a little start going, and I just started plugging away, and I went from there.
So tell us, you've mentioned NAMI a few times. Tell us what NAMI is, what that stands for.
It's the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And it was started by my parents actually went to the Family to Family, and it gives support to families and individuals who are dealing with mental health or mental illness. And like I said, it started out as a grassroots organization. I guess they used to meet at family members' dinner tables, and they used to get together and talk and try to get support. But it's kind of developed from there. I know their office now is right next to the mental health board in downtown Canton on Cleveland Avenue, but they've come they've come a long way, and they have support groups, a newsletter. They have an annual walk. It's a national organization.
Okay.
It's an Ohio organization, so they're doing a lot. I still do my reading on mental health, just so I stay kind of stable in that. And in a nursing book about mental health, it was mentioned as one of the main organizations to contact for your concerns. So it's a major organization.
So I bet that had to feel really rewarding to see your name printed as a person that contributed to that newsletter.
I was I was in the support group at the time, and they gave me a lot of support that I hadn't had before. When I was in college, I kept my writing very quiet, but my psychiatrist saw the newsletter. The people in my support group did. People, some of the in the mental health board, I used to deliver stuff to them. It got a little notice. I was very surprised, but
that had to be really rewarding.
Yeah, it was rewarding, but again, I felt lucky. So
yeah, well,
I like reading and writing. So
you deserved it, though. You put the work in and you did it.
Thank you.
So tell us about some of the other essays that you've written. And I know you had an opinion piece in the Akron Beacon Journal, which is a big newspaper in Northeast Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your opinion piece about in the Akron Beacon Journal?
That was a recovery piece. It talked about a lot of things we've talked about tonight. When I had problems, recovering and some of my job struggles, and then actually finally getting help and recovering. I did that with, I got the Treatment Advocacy Center. That is E. Fuller Torrey. He wrote Surviving Schizophrenia. And I got their newsletter, and I used to read it, and I really liked it. So I sent in my story, and to get into their newsletter, and I told them, they gave me a call. I was working afternoons. They called me before I went to work, but I was very surprised. And they said, "Yeah, we like your article." And I'm like, "Well, great. Is this something you think you can use for your newsletter?" And they said, "Yeah, but there's a little bit more to it than that." They said that I would have to get my story printed in a newspaper for them to print it. And I was like,
okay.
Well, that's kind of a daunting task. I'll give it a shot. But, we interviewed, we talked, and we put something together, and we sent it to the Plain Dealer, the Beacon, and the Repository, and the Beacon took it as an op-ed piece. And, they said it got a lot of hits. They were happy with the response it got. I wasn't even on Facebook at the time. I was working afternoons again in a factory. I wasn't even on Facebook. I had to rely on them for feedback, but they said it got a good response, and I just kind of went from there.
That's wonderful. How did you feel when you got the yes from the Akron Beacon Journal?
I was very surprised. They talked to the editorial editor there. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. But they talked to the editorial editor there, and he I don't know how to say this, but when I was taking the class at Kent Stark with the former editor of the Beacon, after the class was over,
right.
I visited the Beacon Journal, and I think he may have had some memory of that, but it ended up working out. The guy, he was a nice guy, and he said, the guy who interviewed me from Treatment Advocacy Center said they had a nice talk, and that they were going to use it, and which I was happy about, because I still think it's a very misunderstood illness, and
right.
I was glad they did something with it. I think that shows some social concern, understanding, some support. I was very happy.
Right, and I think the more you get that out there, the more people understand it. I think the more people can get help. I mean, if they see your story, somebody that's struggling, and they think, okay, I have to have realistic expectations. I need support group. I need to stay on my medication. Hopefully, all those things that they're hearing from people like you will mean more success stories in the end.
I hope so too. That's I think success stories are very important, and I think if people have a better base, that'll help too. And if more people know what it is and not just what they are afraid of, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be better.
Right. That's one thing I was thinking too, and you just mentioned, to take that fear component out, because it can be intimidating for people that don't understand the ins and outs of the diagnosis. It can be very intimidating.
I think it is intimidating. I do think some of that is justified, though. I think people have to be taking their medication. That's an absolute must for stability. I know that I was off mine for a period of time, and I know I kind of made it through that. But like I said, I wouldn't suggest it to anybody, and I think it's too much to ask for other people if there's a medication out there that will correct some of the bad things. And so, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I hope people will learn from your book. And then they can share with people in their lives maybe that are struggling with that, that diagnosis or possible diagnosis, and, give them ways to get help.
Yes.
But so I want to bring up your book again, and I'm going to show it one more time. I never know which way to turn it for the camera. 1%. So when I bought your book at an author event, I thought, what does 1% mean? What's that about? And so can you explain to our viewers what the title means, 1%?
1% of the population has schizophrenia. And I think that's important, because I think, and that's across the board. That's in other countries. That's socioeconomics.
Oh, okay.
It's just 1% everywhere. And I think that even 1% doesn't sound significant, but it is. That means I went to a high school that had over 400 people in their graduating class, so that means each class had 4 or so people that have it. So that even though it doesn't sound like a big number, I think there's you're going to know some people that have it, and I think that's important. And I think that that it's such a across the board statistics, I think it legitimizes it. It's a medical condition, not something that just kind of happens out of the blue. It is a medical condition, a biochemical imbalance, in my opinion. And I think that's another reason I wrote it as the title. And I did make it lowercase because I think we can do more with the people who have it. Maybe let's get those letters bold-faced. I don't know, make it more of
That's neat. That's really neat, because I noticed that too, that the lowercase, and even your name was all
Yeah.
lowercase.
Yeah, I think
That's
we have a
really
ways to
good.
go, but I think we're taking steps.
That's an interesting conversation starter about the lowercase in the title and
Mm-hmm.
the title itself.
Mm-hmm.
But so what about research? What's the current research like? Do you know anything about current research as far as schizophrenia and really getting to the source, the root of the cause?
I'm more into the recovery than the science, but from what I've read, they're trying to find out the areas of the brain that are affected by schizophrenia. Um,
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to get, like, my medication works great for me, but they're trying to have, more medications, so other people have a better fit, because I
Mm-hmm.
was on a medication at first, it didn't work very well. And when I got on this one, it worked a lot better, and it does make a difference. So I think some of the scientific stuff is more, and, what's happening in the brain, and, what neurotransmitters are being affected, and what areas of the brain are being affected, and how can we get, closer to a good match for the medication and what's happening. Does
Right.
that,
And yeah, that makes sense. And isn't there a component of genetic testing now so that, like you're saying, they can find the medication that helps one
uh,
person that might not help another person so much?
my understanding about the genetics is they haven't found, what do they call them, genomes, I think. I do think they haven't found the gene. They're looking to see if there's a specific genome that it is, such as
Okay.
with maybe Down syndrome. But they haven't found it. They don't know if there is one, but they are seeing if there's a specific genome.
Okay.
But there's nothing conclusive yet.
Okay. Okay. So your emphasis is more on recovery, but you try to kind of keep a little bit up to date on the research.
Yeah, well, I'm stable. I think I'm, like I say, on a lot of things. I do think I'm lucky there, but I'm kind of more interested in the people who are stable. Maybe putting a better face on the illness is, I guess, would be my summary.
Right. Right. So where can readers purchase your book? Because I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in reading your story after our discussion. Where can they find it?
It's at the Learned Owl in Hudson. It's in Max Back's bookstore in Cleveland. It's in Visible Voice bookstore in Cleveland and Loganberry bookstore in Cleveland. I believe Visible Voice is selling it online, and it's being sold on eBay.
On eBay.
Even
Okay.
in quantity, I saw it was. I don't know why, but somebody's selling it in quantities. So I don't know if
Okay.
that means it's selling or not. Hopefully, it's selling. But
Okay. And so all those shops that you mentioned are in Ohio.
yes.
If people call those stores, do you know, can they purchase and it be shipped if they're willing to pay the shipping cost? Do you know if that's
I know,
possible?
Visible Voice does have it. It did have it online. I don't know if they still do. And it was still on the shelves. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so let's repeat those one more time. So
Okay.
Learned Owl is in Hudson, Ohio.
Yes.
And name the
Max Back.
next.
Max Back's in Cleveland. Visible Voice in Cleveland. Actually, Ohio City, and Loganberry Books, I believe, on Larchmere in
Okay.
Cleveland.
Okay. And then people can find it on eBay.
Yeah. And, you bring up the writing a lot. The Loganberry Books is right across the street from the Literary Cleveland office,
Oh, okay.
if anybody has an interest in that. So,
And I know from reading your book that you did a lot with Literary Cleveland.
yeah, they were very nice. I went to actually to a late Youngstown conference, and I met Matt Weincombe, who just started, the Literary Cleveland job, and I got to talk to him a little bit. And I mean, it's a drive; it's an hour up there.
Yeah.
But I went up there on a get together they had, and I just started talking to Matt, and he was interested in some of my journalism experience and some other things, and I just kept plugging away. So, and another thing I think that's important, and their classes are very good.
Okay.
They can be intimidating because some of the people in there, one lady in one of my classes went to Harvard. She was
Oh, wow.
yeah, they have people who have their master's degrees, their MFAs. The teachers, some of them have been published a lot, but, it's a little bit intimidating, but they're very nice people up there.
Good.
And, in one of the classes I took, they said, it's important if you want to get, published in a publication, if you like their work, you're going to have a lot better chance of getting published by them.
Okay.
It's kind of a connection. And I think I do have a connection with, Literary Cleveland. So, but when getting published, I think it's very important to read, getting published. Yeah, it's a thrill to see somebody publish your work, but
right.
It's nice that you like their work as well. It makes it a good fit.
Well, and I think the writing community, at least my experience,
mm-hmm.
people have been so supportive of each other. Mm-hmm. Writers being supportive of other writers. So that's really neat.
I agree. Yes.
Because you hear about cutthroat aspects of different businesses, and I'm sure there are some people like that, but I feel like my experience, and it sounds like your experience too, has been very positive with the writing community.
Yes. But it took me a while. I thought it was I was thinking it was a little bit of an uphill battle. Before I got that Beacon Journal published, article published, I would look online for writing groups, and I would type it up, and I would try to contact them. I wasn't hearing anything back.
Okay.
But you have to get into the group, any group.
Right.
So that can be tough. But
and that's one thing I think a lot has been mentioned a lot across the videos, the interviews I've done, is get in a writing group. It's such a good thing to have other writers critique your work and to give you feedback. It's just really, really important.
Yes.
So that's great. So social media. Can people find you on social media?
Just on Facebook. I'm very new to. I've been on social media, I think, for maybe 6 years now.
Okay.
And but I like Facebook. I like pictures, artwork. I like other people's writing. So I'm just Facebook right now.
Okay, so Stephen Pryce, Pryce on Facebook. Okay. Okay. So I wanted to ask you, kind of wrapping up, if there is someone out there who has gone through a mental health crisis and they are now in recovery, like you are, and as we mentioned, you've been in recovery for a long time, and they want to write about their experience to help other people, what would be your best advice to those people?
I think two things I think are very important. One is, as we talked about before, is to start small. Maybe start with a newsletter.
Okay.
And, hopefully an organization you feel comfortable with. And another thing that I think is really important is that you do have to, I know you have to know your material, but you have to know yourself too, because, knowing yourself, I think, is what they call your voice, is very important. And it doesn't happen right off the bat, but I think if you know yourself, know your subject, and start small, I think that will give you the best chance.
That's really good advice.
Thanks.
And especially what you're saying about know yourself and finding your own voice, because as writers, if we try to mimic other writers, it just doesn't work, and people can sense that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a tough thing, and I also think as writers, we sometimes admire other writers so much that we want to. I think that's another struggle, but you got to do what you like, and you got to know yourself. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's really good advice, and hopefully there will be a lot more success stories like you and people in recovery and writing about it, so that the public at large can be more educated about any kind of mental health diagnosis and can be helpful to people rather than shunning them.
I think so too. Not only is mental health becoming more talked about, but I think people in general talk about their health much more. The physical ailments, anything. I think the health subject is is really talked about a lot now.
That's so true.
Because, like, we talked about rugby a little bit earlier. I hadn't been around the team for a while, and I'm the youngest of the old boys, and I go to their outings, and one of their main subjects is health. And
that's good.
I came out about my illness, but I got to hear a lot about their illnesses, so it was fun. It was good.
Yeah, I do think that's a good thing that people more freely talk about mental health and health these days than in past generations. I agree. But, well, Steve, thank you so much for joining me. Your book is wonderful. Your story is compelling, and your recovery is something we all can celebrate. And thank you for all the work that you've done to help people through your writing and your volunteering and your advocacy.
Thank you very much. I'm working on something new now, and I appreciate all you do, too. I think the Right Stuff group is great. I think you're definitely one of the leaders of that, and I appreciate all you do.
So thank you. And you mentioned something new. What are you working on new?
I don't like to...
you don't want to give it away?
I'm batting around the different ideas. I don't want to divulge too soon, but it's going to be called Halfway House and Other Works.
But that sounds great.
It's going to be it's going to be either a long short story or a novella, followed by some of the other stuff, the poetry and the personal essays. It's going to have that. It's going to be similar to 1%, but with a novella instead of a few short stories.
And you might have poetry, you said.
It's going to have some poetry, yep.
Oh,
it's going to have some poetry, personal essays. Yeah, it's going to be almost the same as 1%, but with a novella instead of the short stories.
Okay. Well, I will really look forward to that.
Okay.
And Stephen, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.
You too. Good night.
Good night.